Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Zeb from Zed Outdoors and I hope you're having an awesome day. So today I've come down to see Nic Westermann of Hewn and Hewn. Nic, how are you doing?
Very well, and yourself, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good.
So if you're unfamiliar with Nic, Nic is a renowned toolmaker based here in beautiful rural Wales. So I've come down to collaborate with Nic on some videos. Now in this video, what we want to talk about is basically an introduction to the Hewn and Hewn brand. It's a completely separate entity from the Nic Westermann brand. And so what we want to do in this video is just get a bit of an understanding while I'm spending time with Nic to discuss what Hewn and Hewn is about. And what we're going to be doing during my visit down is we're now then going to be filming, after this introduction video, a series of videos on actual practical stuff, on some practical skills and demonstrations that Nic's going to be doing on video. So all of those videos, if they're already out by the time you're watching this, will be linked below in the description. So to talk about Hewn and Hewn, I think it's important to take a moment and take a step back and talk about your separate entity, which is the Nic Westermann brand itself and the company. So before we talk about Hewn and Hewn, I want to just take a moment out and talk about the Nic Westermann brand. For those that are unfamiliar, what is the Nic Westermann brand in a nutshell?
That's tools that I've made completely myself. So from start to finish, the whole tool has been made by Nic Westermann. So a Nic Westermann tool is made by me. So it's a range of green woodworking tools which, just say, are in high demand, and in a way that's limited because I rigidly say if it's a Nic Westermann tool I make it. That's limited production, which is nice that it keeps them fairly narrow and I can control the quality absolutely, but it does limit it to some extent. So that's Nic Westermann.
And just to kind of finish up with that, we have done a separate video just before this talking about Nic Westermann itself, the brand and the business. And so I'll be linking to that below in the description. That goes into a lot more detail about the Nic Westermann business side of things. Now moving on to the Hewn and Hewn, which is a completely separate entity. What is Hewn and Hewn about?
Well, it started off as sharpening products for green woodworking because I'd been asked about how I got my tools, my Nic Westermann tools so sharp, and I started selling the compounds and the sandpapers that I made, which obviously I didn't make, so it made sense that it was a separate brand and do it as a separate thing. So Hewn and Hewn sells a lot of sharpening products, and it was originally just aimed as that, with sharpening. And then I started selling a lot of jigs. There's a Sloyd jig, which we'll talk about on another video, which was very popular. And so I sort of moved into jigs and metalworking. And then we made more jigs and then started making blades using these jigs. And so we actually moved into tool making. And these are all blades which I have forged and prototyped and tested and ground myself, and anybody who bought any of the early ones, the first few hundred or so, would have been made entirely by me. But anything has always been made with a view that production isn't limited by one person, so anything on Hewn and Hewn is something which can be subbed out and made by other people, and that's always been the idea. So I might have made the first Sloyd jig, but then a local engineering company has been making them from there on in, and the same with the blades. I will nail it down and get them exactly right, but then I've had other people come in and make them, or I've subbed out the whole process and other people have been making them. But
and I think it's important to interject ever so slightly, and that is people that you've vetted very, very closely and still work very closely with.
Oh yes, it's not like I'm just I've been very hard to please. I'm sure.
Nick has very high standards for this stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not just like then sending it off to with the blades. I still keep a very close eye on it, and anybody who bought any of the recent Sloyd blades will probably see little indentations where I went over with a Rockwell hardness tester to test that the heat sheet was within the specs that I'd specified. So for a long time each individual blade was tested to see that I was happy with what the edge holding would be. So yes, yes, I've maintained standards as much as I can.
So with the Hewn and Hewn, so you've already touched on it. So would you say at the time of filming this, a big part of the focus of Hewn and Hewn is the sharpening and tool making, essentially? Would you say kind of those are the two general?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And probably still the emphasis is on sharpening, but there are some tools being fed in, yes. Yeah.
So with talking about the two slightly separately, so with the sharpening, are these products and papers, etc., that you use yourself, and then subsequently you feel that other people, the public now, will gain benefit from using the things that you have taken many, many years and continue to refine and test? Would I be right in saying these are the things that you know now work for you and subsequently they'll work for the public?
Yes, everything has a long test period, and it will be, yes, I don't just make something and think, oh, that looks good, or yes, I'll test it out and try it, and I want to be certain that I'm selling something which will work well. So they're all things which I've used in production. Sometimes, yes, it will be something I've used in production for Nic Westermann blades, like all the Sloyd blades which I make now through Nic Westermann are hollow ground, and they're hollow ground with a Sloyd jig. So there is some sort of crossover, but the companies are still separate. But obviously there's, I mean, I'm not going to not use compounds which I sell on Hewn and Hewn because Nic Westermann's a separate company. I mean, that would be ridiculous, but so there is some cross-fertilisation, but not massively.
And the same question with kind of the tool making and tool alteration side of things. Is that a similar thing, that these are processes that you yourself use and taking many years to refine, and you feel now you can start to put those out to market?
Yes. So yes, I'm sharing like a lot of the processes which I've used in tool making through Hewn and Hewn. Yes, that's what's happened.
And also kind of a follow-on question from that, and this is a question also I have, are a lot of, for example, the jigs and things like that, have these come about because of your own necessity to have these tools and jigs, and because you didn't maybe not see those in the market, or what you saw in the market wasn't good enough? And would I be right in saying that was the case? Yes,
absolutely, yes. Like the Sloyd jig is, I was teaching a Sloyd knife making course at Barnes Place in the Greenwood Guild in London, and we were doing hollow ground knives, and you couldn't buy a jig which would hold them properly, and so we had to alter the knives we made to fit the jigs which were available. So it sort of meant that we made blades which weren't certainly the shape that I wanted to make. So I ended up designing a jig which would hold the blades I wanted to make, so you could hollow grind them, and that was where the Sloyd jig came from. So yes, yeah. So
moving on to the ordering process. So with Nic Westermann, the completely separate entity, we've discussed that in a previous video with a waiting list due to Nic being a one-man band. Now with Hewn and Hewn being a completely separate entity, what's the ordering process? Is it literally a case of what you see on the website is ready to order?
Yes, that's it. Yes. If it's out of stock, it's out of stock. There's no wait list or anything. I'm not going to do that. I'll try, and if anybody emails me, I'll give them my best guess of when it will be back in stock, but we're not going to run wait lists for that sort of thing, because generally the aim is to be able to keep it in stock. I mean, we get caught out sometimes, but generally we can keep things in stock most of the time.
And in terms of ordering, in case someone has a question of where you ship to, do you ship all over the world?
Yes, we can ship, yes. Yeah.
And in terms of a lead time from ordering and kind of receiving the item, I know it obviously depends on what country the person is in, but generally, is there a long wait from the point of ordering?
No. I mean, obviously, there's not many of us here. I mean, a lot of the time it's me packing it. Sometimes my wife will come in. Sometimes I'll have my son comes in, but I try and pack 2 or 3 times a week, so it shouldn't be longer than like 3 or 4 days. If we've got time, we're busy, I'll pack every day. It just depends on how quickly orders are coming in.
So our last question on the kind of current inventory you have on the Hewn and Hewn website. So obviously you have things listed there at the moment that are ready to go, that have been tested rigorously and are ready for people to buy and to use. Would I be right in saying that you are still also doing a ton of product development on other items and products? Is that the case?
Oh yes. There's things in the pipeline which have been taking, because I'll make something and then I'll try it out for 6 months or a year, or in some cases 2 years before I'm happy that it will actually hold up and work well. So yes, there's a few things which are already, yeah, well, I've actually got the photographs and they're ready to launch, but not quite yet because I'm still faffing with something else. I'll go off down another little rabbit hole and that will put me off, and yes, I do get distracted if I'm honest.
So it'd be worth then maybe then people checking back regularly with Hewn and Hewn.
Yes, yeah, I'm much better on the Instagram, my Instagram, the Hewn and Hewn Instagram account. So like if I'm launching something new, I'll put it, I won't just put it up on the website, I'll talk about it, yeah, or what's coming up and why and what I'm doing.
So to kind of start to wrap this up then, so projecting forward, what's your ambition with Hewn and Hewn as you move forward over the coming months and years? What's your ambition? What's your kind of goal with what you want Hewn and Hewn to become?
Well, yes, I'd like to grow the whole thing so orders are coming in. The range of items I'm making is still expanding, and I've still got a lot of ideas of things I'd like to make. What I really enjoy, and that's why stuff gets stuck on the back burner, is I really like just making stuff and coming up with new ideas and testing it out. I'm still not massively motivated by money. I suppose I should be, but so that's why some stuff gets stuck on the back burner, because the exciting thing for me is making it and trying it, and then actually taking the product photos and stuff is less. It's not, you know, that's not really the fun bit for me. But eventually I'll get it together, and then it'll be on the website.
Yeah, because I can attest to the fact that I've been spending time with Nic on this visit down, and I've been fortunate to be a little bit privy behind the scenes of products he is developing, and it really is the case, like genuinely, that Nic is spending an incredible amount of time, just making sure that he's constantly developing the product, but it gets to a point where he's 100% happy for this to go out to you, the public. And I've been privy to that. I've been fortunate to kind of see some of the products he's developing behind the scenes. And there's some of them where he's just got multiple prototypes of the same product, because he still wants to make sure it's not something where, and I can attest to this, that he's just slapping together and just pushing out. It's quite the opposite. He's making sure however time is needed to take, months even, months and months and months, even just beyond a year, to making sure that whatever product he does bring to market on Hewn and Hewn has been thoroughly and rigorously tested, so it's the best it can be. Would I be right in saying, that's...
Yes, yeah, I do, yes, obsessively keep going back and making sure I'm happy with things, yes, there's no doubt about that, yes.
So the kind of last thing to kind of wrap this whole video up, like I said, this is an introduction to the Hewn and Hewn brand, and obviously we have done a video just prior about the Nic Westermann brand, so the two kind of partner up very, very nicely in terms of understanding the difference between the two, because sometimes there could be a little bit of confusion in terms of kind of what's what. And hopefully our intention with these two videos is to kind of clear all of that up, to understand why the two are distinct and how they are distinct. The final thing I do want to wrap up on is, during my visit down to see Nic, and I did allude to this at the beginning of this video, is we are going to be filming a series. So what it is, our goal, hopefully not being presumptuous, hopefully Nic wants me back, is in the future we can carry on developing videos that will also teach you a lot of the things on Hewn and Hewn, how to use and how they are put to use, etc., etc. So there is an incredible amount of information there at the moment, but the hope is what Nic really wants to do with Hewn and Hewn is to make it a really immersive website. So not only are you buying the products, but you're given a lot of the teaching and kind of instruction around it. Would I be right in saying that's kind of your hope with Hewn and Hewn, that not just to put the products out there, but to actually teach people on how to use them and so forth?
Yes, I mean, I've been teaching this year and I've really enjoyed that side of it, and I think it'd be good to bring that onto the website as well, because there's a lot more than just selling a product, like why it works and why it's good and why I've chosen that, because if you can explain why you've designed something and the thinking behind it, it makes much more sense as well. So yeah.
So Nic, I really do thank you for that. I've also kind of helped clarify things for me with Hewn and Hewn, and hopefully for yourself as well, it's giving you a good grounding onto the entire Hewn and Hewn brand and what it entails. So like I said, we did film a video just prior about Nic Westermann, and now in this video we've discussed Hewn and Hewn. Now moving forward, during my visit on this occasion to see Nic at his beautiful workshop here in rural Wales, is we are going to be looking at some practical tuition now. So those videos, if they're already out by the time you're watching this video, they'll be linked to down below in the description, and so I would highly recommend you go check those out. And needless to say, I'm going to put a link to the Hewn and Hewn website and the Instagram profile down below in the description. Highly recommend you go check that out and have a good look through. The Instagram, like Nic has mentioned before, has a lot of up-to-date information about the different things he's got going on, not just here in his workshop, but also around the country and potentially abroad as well, in the form of physical kind of in-person tuition and workshops and so forth. So all of that you can find out about on the Instagram and the website. Link to that down below. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, this video is time-stamped out into different sections, and so that helps kind of easier navigation. So if there's a particular section you want to go back to, you can just kind of reference that down below in the description, or just hover your mouse along the timeline of this video. So there you go, guys. Really do hope you enjoyed this video, and also it forms an introduction to Hewn and Hewn and the series I'm going to be filming with Nic now, and hopefully in the future as well. So I look forward to seeing you in the next installment on this video that I'm going to be filming with Nic on his visit down. Link to that will be down below in the description, and I shall see you there. So until then, I hope whatever you're doing, you have a blessed day, a blessed week ahead. From Nic Westermann of Hewn and Hewn and myself, Zed Outdoors, peace out.